Okay, I am here with our beloved Jersey Belle, Jaime Primak Sullivan, and she's got an awesome podcast and a great movie coming out. So I first want to ask you, Jaime, how's it been post, you did Jersey Belle a long time ago, but looking back on, your experience and what reality has become, how would you do it now in the environment we're in currently?
I actually think that the reality climate was worse when I did Jersey Belle in 2014, because that was the height of, hold on, I apologize. I am going to, can you put this on Do Not Disturb? I lied. I'm sorry. We're going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so that it doesn't ding, and then I'll re-answer the question.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So I actually think that it was worse when I did it. When I did Jersey Belle in 2014, it was at the height of the Housewives. It was like the franchises were fairly new, just a few years old. And I think a few years old.
Yeah.
But the fandom online was so loud and so aggressive that I remember, now I was a publicist before I did, while I did Jersey Belle. Yeah. And I remember the network taking me to a training on how to deal with the fandom and the fandemonium and the negativity. And I was like, wait a minute, like I do media training as part of my career. Like, what am I getting myself into? What are you like so afraid of for me?
Yeah.
And then my show premiered. And suddenly, I mean, it comes the look, I think that people are so desensitized by reality TV now that it's more about concept for everybody. It feels. Mm-hmm. In other words, what do I mean by that? I mean that people the conversation tends to go more around the concept of the show. Mm-hmm. Naked and Afraid, Love Island, X or O, I don't know, whatever these shows are, right? Where people feel very strongly about is the show itself good or not? Mm-hmm. Whereas back then it was very Bravo celebrity driven. It was like the person. It wasn't the show. It was like, I hate this human, mm-hmm. or I love this human. And now I feel like shows kind of get lost almost because there's so much reality. But when Jersey Belle came out, it was like, Jaime Primak Sullivan is Bravo's fish out of water. And suddenly I was this identity thing. And I was so like, and listen, I'm not naive, by the way. Gina, I knew what I was getting myself into. I had worked in television for years, and I certainly understood all of the work that went into making the show. I did work very hard to make Jersey Belle feel very different. I don't know if you were able to see any of the episodes, but it really was about faith and friendship and love. And really, it was, what does a Jersey girl do below the Mason-Dixon line, right? And I was really the brunt of the joke. It wasn't making fun of the South, it was making fun of me. And, people thought the show was very refreshing. And I think the bigger sort of point to make about reality TV is when Jersey Belle was on in 2014, the ratings were on average about 1 million viewers a week, which at the time put me what's called the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
right? For consideration for season 2.
It's good.
Now, Bravo would kill for those ratings.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Kill for those ratings. Like if I could guarantee them 1 million viewers a week, they would bring Jersey Belle back in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't go back, but they. So I think that's where reality television has changed the most, is there's just so much of it. People are not watching. Also, when you live in a time, and I'm sorry if I'm like boring you with overkill about this, but when you live in a time where people are dying, it's a pandemic, we're at odds with each other, we're at war, Ukraine's doing this and this, that, and the third, and whatever. The escapism for violence and violent behavior is not the same.
Yeah.
Women fighting each other and flipping tables and throwing chairs, the appetite. I actually think a show like Jersey Belle would work much better now, because it would feel more like the emotional feeling would feel more like Gilmore Girls or This Is Us, which I think people need. Yeah. You know, the friendship aspect. I stood on Danielle's driveway. If you watch the show, you know Danielle. Her and her husband are making the move to Utah. And while they'll keep their home in Birmingham, they're going to be spending large amounts of time, extended amounts of time in Utah. And I stood on the driveway with her yesterday, and I had made her this birthday gift bag and just hugged her and loved on her. And the love that we really have for each other as women. I mean, I just think that is really what women want to see. Mm-hmm. And I think it's reflected in how hard some of these franchises are working to cast over who can make the most noise and start the most trouble. But I don't think it's the cast. I just don't think the viewers want it anymore. Sorry, I've just talked your ear off.
No. But that is exactly it, because I cover a lot of Bravo. I watched the trajectory of Below Deck, like how it was this cute little show. And it's interesting, like the fans now become like little detectives. Like they're at the point now where they're taking pictures of Captain Leigh, you know, out for dinner, and they're following them around, and then they're making these wild projections where it's become their world, you know. Kind of.
Did you see where Captain Leigh and I were dating?
I wrote about you and Captain Leigh dating. I remember that. It was the best. And then you guys had your Instagram. But
yeah, I mean, we're just wonderful friends. So we joke around. He's very much in love with his wife, and I'm very much in love with my husband. But I love Captain Leigh, admittedly, and he knows this. I've never seen an episode of his show, but I love him as a human being. And I prayed for him, through him, over him, through the loss of his son. And, you know, he's a wonderful human being. I've often wondered, you know, why he continues with that show now. I think he's so synonymous with the franchise, much in the way that Nene was. Like, I don't know where it goes without him.
Yeah.
That's also coming from someone who's never seen it, but anyway, so that's how I feel about reality TV.
Yeah, but the podcast but I think I listened to the one episode about, you know, invasion of privacy, like, you know, and why people just feel like it's their right just because you're famous. How do you come up with the topics that you decide you're going to explore each podcast?
Well, let's talk season 2, which is, I'm so grateful to be in season 2. It blows my mind. For me, the goal of each episode is to have a conversation that I needed at some point in my life. What Coffee Talk, which is my Facebook digital series, that started when I was doing Jersey Belle, and I was very intimidated by the negativity online. So I thought I would counterculture that with a daily digital series that was very uplifting. Yeah. It's about the human connection and why we're all here and how we can take care of each other. And so it was very counterproductive to what was being put out by some of the other Bravo personalities at the time. And so Let's Talk became an extension of that. And it allows me to go a little further and a lot deeper in conversation. So when I think about like, what are the topics that I want to talk about? I'll give you a great example. Up until recently, I would never have had a conversation about what to do as a parent when you find a letter or a journal or a note where a child talks about wanting to commit suicide or having thoughts about, maybe wishing they were dead or not whatever. Up until recently, that would not have been a conversation that I would have felt comfortable having because I had not had that experience. And I sort of looked at parenting through rose-colored glasses. That wasn't I didn't know that. I mean, I knew it existed peripherally, but it wasn't in my home. So and sadly, someone took those glasses off my face and smashed them on the ground. And now I am painfully aware that even my children can go through those situations. And so now I can have the conversation and from my point of view and my experience and say to any mom or dad, but moms who may find a letter or a journal or whose child may be brave enough to come to them and say this, right? Here's how it changed me as a mother. And here's what it did to me. And here's how it affected me, right? It's not like an advice thing. Like, it's not like I'm not a psychiatrist, right? It's just, here's what my experience was. And what do I wish I could have heard from someone else at the time? So that's really how I come up with the, up with the topics and the guests. The episode that's out now is Belinda Carlisle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, man, oh man,
right?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, am I lucky? And, Belinda was always very fascinating to me because she, she started a trend, before Madonna did.
Yeah.
She was the funky sort of neon, front girl of still like one of the most successful all female rock bands of all time ever.
Yeah.
And, she was just an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if this works, and it was a phenomenon. But she was also able to transition into a very successful solo career. But for me, I was so much more interested in how did she make a 35+ year marriage work? How did she, did she always know she only wanted one child? I'm fascinated by the one and dones.
Yeah.
Those people fascinate me. Like, what is that like? Yeah. Because I have 3. And if you have 3, you might as well have 107. And so when do you have children?
I have 2.
Yeah. So, okay, 2 feels like 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
But 1 to me is like,
yeah.
What is that like? And what was that decision? I need to know how you made that decision. And she was wonderful and sent me a wonderful note after the conversation and was just like, I went places I've never gone before.
Oh, wow.
And that makes you feel just, because you do it. You have conversations for as part of your living. And it's hard to put people on a path they haven't already been on 1,000 times.
Exactly.
So Belinda and I got to interview Ann Wilson and
cool. Yeah. Right. It's a great job. It's a great job. Oh my gosh. Well, I am running out of time here, they're telling me, but I could talk to you for probably another hour, but they're going to cut me off, and I know you have things to do. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I watched Jersey Belle. That was like my jam. So I was like,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really do, because I look at it as work. it was work for me. I was a producer on that show. I starred in it. But really, like anybody who supports anything creative that I do, I'm very grateful. So thank you. And thank you for your time today.
Yes, no, thank you. And we all need to go see Beast in the movies. That is a movie, look between the fingers.
Yes, please figure out how you could survive and listen to Let's Talk.
Yes.
There's a new episode every Tuesday.
Perfect.
And thank you so much, Gina. Thank you.
Thank you.